occurred. His birth was during Vaishaka, his enlightenment, and his passing into great nirvana. And so tomorrow, Friday, this year, the full moon day is the height of Shaka Dawa. Of course, the month continues for another 15 days. But generally, people try to observe at least the first 15 days leading up to the full moon as especially important and especially potent for reinvigorating our commitment to waking up, our commitment to wake up to become Buddha for the benefit of all. So, surely, you can continue to the rest of this month and even beyond this month to be inspired. So continue to read, for example, the Lalitavistara, or the play in full. That's the meaning of Lalitavistara, the play in full. So the Lalitavistara is the Mahayana telling of the life of the Buddha up until his enlightenment and followed by his delivering of the very first teaching. So it goes up until that point. Backwards, it also extends to the point where he was still a god in the Tushita heaven and about to take birth to be Prince Siddhartha. So that is the time span of the Lalitavistara. In earlier Lalitavistara sessions, I have said that I personally think that when you read the life stories of the Buddha, and there are various different tellings of the life stories of the Buddha, with the main elements being more or less the same, then there are more what we might call fantastical tellings of the life of Buddha, which the Lalitavistara certainly by our standards would qualify. And then there is the more humanly possible tellings of the Lalitavistara, which I gave one example, which is very well done, but all based on the earliest sources that we have, and it is the book called Old Path, White Clouds by the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. He did this many years ago, but it's a good volume to read about the life of the Buddha in terms that we can very easily kind of relate to, but do not dismiss the more fantastical, or I think better term, in fact, is the more poetic presentation of the life of the Buddha. Then also a lot of behind the scenes, kind of giving us a deeper understanding of the interdependence of cause and effect that occurred in the life of the Buddha. So this is how the Lalitavistara needs to, I think, for us to approach. Then whether we are reading it, reading the more human account or the more poetic account, the more literal account and the more poetic account, whichever account of the life of the Buddha that we read, most important thing is to not forget the central point of why we're reading it. We say, may I become like you. This is not about hero worship. This is not about reading about how great our Savior, our Buddha, our founder, our origin is, and just kind of leave it there. We read this to be motivated, to be inspired, to follow in his example. May I become like you. So we can read the story, read the various twists and turns, and see how that might say something about our own condition, our own situation. So not just a model, but you can say that the texts like the Lalitavistara, and for that matter, any of these stories, they are good to think with. So instead of getting caught up in, oh, is this possible? Is this not possible? Is this fairy tale? Think of this as good stuff to think with, good stuff to reflect on the larger truths that these stories, these twists and turns, these fantastical numbers are pointing to. Fingers pointing to the moon. They are good to think with. They are good to live with. If we know how to hear the Dharma, if we know how to take the Dharma into our hearts, then it's not just, a list of things that we believe in. The Buddha Dharma has come down to us primarily through a religious framing, a religious context, a religious culture. Traditional Buddhism everywhere has been primarily religious in its style and its orientation. But the Buddha Dharma itself is not necessarily religious, at least not the way we tend to think of religion. Buddha Dharma is medicine. Medicine for the heart, medicine for the soul. But it has come down to us through the medium of religion. And so it has all these religious characteristics. But if we are not careful, and we look at how other religious people relate to their religious truths, their religious teachings, and then we think, oh, we Buddhists also are the same. That this is also how we relate to the Buddha Dharma. Sometimes that can take us astray. So like, if other religious people are protesting, people insulting their religion, then we feel that we have to protest in the same way. Then in that case, I think Buddha Shakyamuni will say, no, I didn't give you these teachings for you to use in this way. Shantideva says, Buddha says, if you get upset when people insult what I have taught you, if you get angry at them and you want to retaliate, then do understand that you're not my disciple. You're not following what I have taught you. You see how differently he wants us to relate to his teachings. But of course, when his teachings have been tied up or related to identity, to cultures, to nationalities, to groups of people with a strong, identity, then it can easily become more fuel for samsara, more fuel for confusion. So this is not how we should relate to the Dharma. The Dharma points us in the direction of freedom. But if Dharma becomes another shackle, another chain, then there is no hope. People can insult the Dharma. It doesn't mean we have to, lie down and be, trampled by that. First of all, don't be trampled. Don't be trampled means what? The first step is you don't take it personally. You don't feel like, oh, that person just insulted me. That is how you stop being trampled. You don't stop being trampled by immediately thinking, I need to fight this guy. You know, no. Easier said than done. I know somebody is already saying that somewhere. Oh, I really detest that statement. You know, to me, it's like it's a waste of breath. Easier said than done. You know, like yes, we all know that. You know, but stop saying that. Uh, we need to hear that again and again. Yes, we need to hear. So Buddha needs to say again and again because we don't hear what he's saying. So at least start hearing what he says, then see if it is easy to do or not easy to do, you know. It's a cop out. Please get rid of that. If you're serious about practicing the Dharma, completely purify, as we would use the language, completely purify that phrase from your thinking. Easier said than done. I really detest, sorry, Buddha Shakyamuni, I hate something. I hate that expression, easier said than done. Don't do that, you know. Yeah, anyway, you know. Yes, easier said than done, you know, but you'll feel like hurt, you know, when somebody insults what we practice, what we believe in, what we're trying to actualize. Of course, you know, you feel kind of hurt, you know, but the moment you feel the hurt, oh, see there, look that. Ah, you say, oh yes, see, the Dharma is correct. Even if that person disagree with the Dharma, right now, right here, this is what the Dharma is showing me. Oh, Buddha Shakyamuni will be so proud of us. Yeah? Buddha Shakyamuni will say, ah, yes, I didn't waste my breath by repeating again and again and again and again and again, you know. So we relate to the Buddha Dharma very differently, or we should relate to the Buddha Dharma very differently. These are words for us to, they are good to think with. They are good to live by. Good stuff. Yeah. Don't just believe, see if it is true. Investigate and see if it is true. The Nairanjana River, chapter 18. So we are told that, you know, the Bodhisattva practiced for 6 years in the Gaya area. And during this time, it says he was continually followed by Mara, the evil one. Yet, although Mara tried his best to harm the Bodhisattva, he never found an opportunity. But he tried, you know. So this is one part where we get an insight into Mara's ways. There is a pleasant wilderness with forest thickets full of herbs to the east of Urubilva, where the Nairanjana River flows. So the Nairanjana River, today it's still there, but due to environmental degradation, it's mostly dry. Lots and lots of days and years where it is dry. And then suddenly rain will come and flood and destroy things and lives. This is the kind of environmental degradation that we humans have, again, out of a bunch of interdependence coming together. We have contributed to this. But back in the Buddhist time, you know, it says the forest thickets are full of herbs, a very pleasant wilderness. There, for the sake of renunciation, the Bodhisattva persevered with continuous and stable strength. Continuous and stable strength comes in a more gradual way. You have to build it. Of course, sometimes we get very excited and inspired by the Dharma, but you need to cool down and direct that energy to a more stable and continuous, developing stable and continuous strength. It is entirely normal and to be expected. Your relationship with the Dharma and Dharma practice will wax and wane. Sometimes you'll be very inspired, other times you kind of stay away from it. You don't want to go to group practice, you don't want to do your practice, you don't want to read. It's understandable. I have gone through that. I still go through that, of course. Having a responsibility where I do have to turn up makes it harder to just say, no, I'm just going to go to sleep now, or go watch a movie now. But it happens. But never give up, Always remember what the refuges are. What is the problem? What is the solution? Then commit to developing continuous and stable strength. So the Bodhisattva did that, and in order to attain accomplishment and bliss, he remained calm and diligent. Mara approached him and said, with soft and pleasant words. So Mara, is not yelling and screaming. Sometimes maybe Mara does that, but often Mara comes with soft and pleasant words, whispering, 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 whispering. O son of Shakyas, get up. What use is there in tormenting your body? Life is better for the living. Live your life. Why do such miserable things? Alive, you can practice the Dharma. As a living being, you can do that. Then later, you will have no regrets. Carpe diem. Life is short. Live it to the fullest. But your complexion has faded and is almost gone, and it appears as though you're on the verge of dying. Death has 1,000 chances, while life has only one. Oh, that's a good one. That's a little bit long for bumper sticker, but it's a good one, right? Death has 1,000 chances, but life has only one. Seize the day, so sweet, so convincing, these words, so inspiring. Oh, Mara, and you and I have both, let's be honest, being swayed by this, and go, yes, seize the day, let's not go practice. Okay, a little bit of context, yeah. In chapter 6, 17, 16, 16, 17, it emphasizes that the Bodhisattva looked around and looked at how the other spiritual people were practicing. And many of them engage in torturing the body. They believe that in order to attain spiritual perfection, you should basically, I guess you could put it as, you should free the spirit from the body by denying the body in extreme ways. And they think that the problem is the body. And so they need to subject the body to all sorts of discipline and even torture. The Bodhisattva rejected that. He said, the problem is not the body. The problem is mind. So here, but it doesn't mean, oh, the problem is not the body, the problem is mind. Okay, time to go back to the palace. I can think about it in the palace. Oh, I can go back to the palace and think about it. Still, he persevered. And if in his preservation, in his diligence, right, to work on the mind, it meant neglecting the body. That's different from saying, I think the body is evil. Now I need to torture the body so that my spirit can be freed. Very different. But if in the work of paying attention to his mind, he has gone beyond mundane concerns for the body and giving in to all the complaints of the body, that is very different from thinking that the body is the problem and I need to discipline it, I need to punish it. That the flesh is corrupting. Not in Buddha Dharma. We don't relate to flesh as, we don't say flesh is corrupting. Mind is corrupting, not bodies. Mind. So here, he is focused. He's focused on realizing nature of mind, training his mind. But Mara continues. Then Mara says, one who always gives, practices generosity as a king, and performs fire offerings, which is the main kind of religious activity during Buddha's time in the Vedic system, a Vedic Hindu system, performing of fire offerings will accumulate great merit. Why then do you practice renunciation? Why are you wasting away in the forest sitting around like that when you could be back at your kingdom as a king, giving and helping so many people with material goods? You can even accumulate spiritual good by sponsoring all these pujas, all these fire offerings. Do that. Again, sounds so reasonable. The path of renunciation brings only suffering, and taming the mind is hard. This is what Mara said when addressing the Bodhisattva. To reply to Mara, who said these words, the Bodhisattva say, evil one steeped in craziness, you have come here with ulterior motives. Meaning, even if your words, might ring true here and there, ultimately, I know your motives. So you can say to those voices in you, so to say, we can say, you can honor those words and say, yeah, those words are very reasonable, but why are you saying this? I know why you're saying this. Those words are just your way to derail me. You have ulterior motives. For you have no intent that would match my merits, Mara. My merit, I know, is greater than your intent. You would rather speak like this. Since the end of life is death, I do not concern myself with death. He says, if you were interested in merit, he said to Mara, then you should say the following instead. Not what you just said about merit. If you were really interested in merit, this is what you should say. Since the end of life is death, I do not concern myself with death. Wholly devoted to my religious practice, I shall never back down. If even the flow of rivers can be dried out by the wind, like the Niranjana now in modern times, then what about the body and blood of the renunciant? Wouldn't that be dried out as well? When his blood has dried out, his flesh will wither. When his flesh has wasted away, his mind will become yet clearer. He will have more dedication, diligence, and absorption. Again, here is not to be misunderstood that by torturing your body, your mind will become clearer, that you'll have more dedication, more diligence, more absorption. Here it's saying, Mara, if you are interested in promoting real merit in me, this is what you should tell me. Don't worry so much about this life. Don't worry so much. If great rivers can even dry, what about a human body? So don't worry too much about that. Instead, you focus on achieving real merit. Let your mind be clear. Apply more diligence, more dedication. Don't be distracted. Since I live like that, I have attained the highest perception. So I do not worry about my body and my life. Just look at the purity of my being. Here, a good reminder, sometimes we swing this pendulum, sometimes we completely ignore our health. Sometimes we become obsessive of our health. Both are not useful. Both are part of samsaric energy. I'm dedicated and diligent. I have insight as well. So your dedication, your diligence have to be guided with insight. It has to be guided with knowledge. In this world, I see no one capable of disturbing my diligence. So Mara, stop trying. Better is death, the thief of the life force, than living an unwholesome life. Living a life where we act in an unskillful way, in damaging ways. It is better to die in battle than live defeated by the enemy. The battle here is the battle against the afflictive emotions. The enemies are the afflictive emotions. Buddha came from the Kshatriya caste of Indian society, the warrior caste. So he uses a lot of these warrior, strongman imagery. Also, many of his disciples also came from that background. Yeah. A coward cannot defeat an army. Armies conquer and win respect. Yet a hero can defeat an army. O Mara, I will easily defeat you. Desire is your foremost army. So Buddha actually points out, desire is Mara's chief army. Discontent comes next. Discontent and desire work hand in hand. They egg each other on. You begin with a small desire. When that desire is fulfilled, it doesn't take long when discontent starts to grow. And if the desire is not fulfilled, immediately discontent turns up. Either way, discontent follows desire like a shadow. Third is hunger and thirst. So hunger and thirst, in some ways, you could say that's normal biological processes, And you might even reasonably say, but why should that be Mara's army? Isn't that just the way our bodies are constituted? Yes, but again, very often, Mara recruit what is normal and exaggerates it. So some of us are like, oh, I cannot be hungry. Oh, no, I cannot be thirsty, And some of us substitute it with something else. Oh, I cannot be without this. Oh, I cannot be without that. I cannot tell you how many times I have been in retreats earlier in my life where I was being a good student and just sit quietly and shut up. Now I have a different role, then I can tell other people to shut up. But I cannot tell you how many times I've been to some of these retreats, where people, like if it's in the winter, are constantly getting up, toying with the temperature. Like individually, not the retreat organizers. Because we are in the United States of America, we can do whatever we want, everyone. If I feel cold, I'm sure they're all cold. So let me go. Doesn't take long. The next person is like, no, it's too warm. Get up. Switch it. Switch. It comes from, this idea that, the slightest discomfort, I need to attend to that because otherwise my mind cannot focus. That's why retreat centers, some of them are like spas. Hot tubs available at night for an extra $25. Oh, after a long day of, breathing in, breathing out, calming body, calming mind, there is a hot tub at night too, only $25. If you have that $25, give it to your Dharma center. If you have that $25, check with the teacher. Does he need the $25 or not? But we will take, reasonable demands of the body and give it disproportionate importance. So third, his army is hunger and thirst. The biological facts of being hungry and thirsty, Buddha has no problem against, hold no grudges against that. But he's saying, don't let Mara recruit necessities of life, which I have no argument against. Don't let Mara recruit that. Those are the more sneaky army. You don't even see them. Craving is your fourth army. So this is when hunger and thirst is satisfied. Oh, craving comes. Fifth is dullness and stupor. Becoming dull. Mara tells you, oh, this is so boring. This is so uninteresting. Why are you wasting your life watching your breath? Come on. It will happen by itself. No need to watch it. So then you become, right? Fear is said to be the sixth. Oh, now fear, right? Oh, no. I can't. People are like, well, if everyone practices renunciation, what will happen to this world? Don't worry about everyone. Most of you is not interested even in renunciation. So there's no danger of everyone, practicing renunciation. Like the human race will become nothing. Yeah. No. The least of our problems. We have all these excuses. I know I'm being dangerously political, but the slogan of, Black Lives Matter, I think maybe I'm preaching to the choir. It doesn't mean other lives don't matter. But the house that is on fire on this block of the neighborhood, we all need to go put out that fire. Not just, very importantly, because of whoever is going to have the immediate loss when their house is on fire. But even beyond that, if we don't put out that fire, your house will be on fire. So here, this fear, that comes up can be such a powerful excuse. Oh no, I can't do it. Oh no, I can't do it. Well, what if, this happens then? No, I mean, these are all, abstract. Your doubt is army number 7. Like Mara is going to sow doubts. Mara is going to create doubt in you. Self-doubt, very strong. Recognize that as Mara's army. No, I can't do this. Oh no, I can't practice this. Oh no, this is, not for me. Anger and hypocrisy comes 8th. Ambition, greed, and wanting praise. Fame obtained through deception, seeking to exalt oneself and put down others. This is the army of Mara, the evil friend. Oh, Mara always comes like a friend, but this is an evil friend who inflicts torment. Some ascetics and priests appear to be caught up in that. In this context, Buddha is talking about the other people. But I think in our context, those of us who wear the hat of being teachers, being specialists, full-time Dharma practitioners, whatever we call ourselves, remember how easily, his point here is not criticizing, right, the people of other religions, really. His point here is said, even those who are dedicating their lives to the Dharma or to whatever spiritual practice, often they too become very susceptible to being caught up by the Mara's armies. Even people who have committed their lives to, or seemingly committed their lives to becoming better people, becoming free, and benefiting others, can easily fall prey to the armies of Mara. This army of yours, which overcomes this world and that of the divine, the gods, I will destroy it with knowledge, insight, wisdom. That is the best way for us to overcome the various parts of this army: discontent, hunger, thirst, craving, downness, stupor, fear, doubt, anger, hypocrisy, all these things. The best way to destroy them is through knowledge, not suppression, for sure. You could apply the antidote, which is, like they say, the opposing force. Discontent, contentment, right? Craving, non-craving. Downness, energy. Yes, you can try that, but the true contentment that is going to be the true opposite of discontent has to come from insight, which is what knowledge here means. Knowledge here doesn't mean accumulating information. It's good to accumulate information when that information can be used to give rise to insight or wisdom. Wisdom that will disabuse you of your confusion. Because where does the entire horde of Mara's armies come from? From our own confusion. Dispel that confusion, they all disappear. Just as water destroys a vessel of unbaked clay. With mindfulness as the foundation and knowledge as my training, I act carefully. So what will you do now, O feeble-minded one? The Buddha can even taunt Mara and say, "Oh, feeble-minded one, what do you think you can do with your overwhelming show of force, with your domination, with your tactics of fear and intimidation? You can do nothing to me, because I know." And Mara can do nothing to Siddhartha because Siddhartha knows who the real enemy is. So he knows not to fight Mara in an external sense. If he was going to fight Mara in the external sense, he would lose. So to express it in kind of Christian terms, there is a theologian that put it very nicely. He said, worse than the sin of worshiping false gods is fighting false demons. Worse than the sin of worshiping false gods, is fighting false demons. So if we want to fight external demons, then we will likely lose because they will always have more ammunition and more. But because Siddhartha understood, the Bodhisattva on the 10th ground sees clearly who the real enemy is. Therefore, he can say to Mara, so what will you do now, O feeble-minded one? He's not afraid. As the Bodhisattva spoke these words, Mara, the evil one, felt very uncomfortable and sad. Having lost his confidence, he disappeared. So the gist of chapter 18. And there he talked about the rest of this chapter. Eventually he did eat something because it was getting to the point where if he didn't eat, he would die. Then the story of Sujata, this village woman, young woman wanting to conceive, to have a child. And as was the tradition of India, and even now, praying for a child, you would go to these spirits that are considered to be in charge of, or responsible for fertility of the area of the land, like fertile land, and the fertile humans and the fertility of animals, all are the same. So you would go make these offerings to these spirits that live in the forest and usually under trees. So like Naga spirits in India. So this woman went to make this offering with rice cooked in curd, mixed with some nuts, some fruits, dry fruits. And so when she mistook Siddhartha for a spirit like that, it says, so then she offered that. But then he ate it and he restored his health. And that gave him enough energy to break through to complete enlightenment. So that rice with curd has evolved into different Buddhist cultures, preparing that food as an auspicious food, especially eaten in festive times. So in the Tibetan, you have what's desi. De is rice. So rice cooked and then mixed with butter. And then there's this type of what they now call Tibetan ginseng. It's a very small tuber. They grow in the higher elevations in Tibet as like nuts, mixed in together with some raisins, a little bit of sugar. So that is served as ceremonial rice on special occasions. In China and Japan and Korea, they have something that they prepare that is more like a porridge. They call the 8 treasures, the 8 precious treasure rice. So often 8 different types of ingredients like lotus seed and different things, different parts of East Asia would use different things to symbolize the 8 auspicious symbols, and then cooked as a porridge. In East Asia, they don't use milk because most are lactose intolerant. So the 8 treasure porridge, ba bao zhu, So that is Zhou is offered during to commemorate this. Then in Sri Lanka, this kiribat is more savory. In fact, is almost seen as like a breakfast food. So this is they have shredded coconut. So there, instead of in South India, South India is not such a dairy-based food culture. Instead, they use a lot of coconut milk. So the rice is cooked in coconut milk and mixed with shredded coconut and served as breakfast food and more on the savory side. So across different Buddhist culture, this commemorating of the village girl Sujata's offering to the Buddha is done in this way. Yeah. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up and make your cereal, your warm cereal, think of it as Sujata's, 8 treasures porridge that will nourish you and keep you on the path to awakening. So when you eat this, So today we will stop here. So a reminder, tonight, 7:30 New York time, we will have another session of this Buddha Shakyamuni practice and also Lalitavistara. Normally Thursday nights, we are now in the midst of the Mahayana Lojong and 7 points teaching. But because of Saka Dawa, we won't do that tonight. Instead, we will do this practice and look at the Lalitavistara more. Then tomorrow morning, again, we will do the tomorrow morning for those of us in the Western Hemisphere. That is the start of the Duchen and the full moon. And that we will do both this Buddha Shakyamuni practice, 16 arhats, and this. And those of you who are part of the Gongchik study, we don't have Gongchik tomorrow. We will use that time in the morning to do these 2 practices together. So thank you so much, and you all have a good day, and see you later. Chanchu sem rinpoche ma ge ba nam ge gyu je ge ba nyam ba me ba ya go ne gong du be word shu.
Thank you. Ciao
Thank
for now.